Hello and welcome back to another edition of NFL Weekly. This is week 7 of the NFL season. I'm Jax Rogan.
I'm Evan Whitney.
And before we get into the NFL coverage, I know me and Evan did a baseball video, and the World Series just ended. The Dodgers won in 6 games over the Rays. Evan's prediction was right, as usual, as he likes to think. But usually he's not right. But as the Dodgers won, Corey Seager won MVP. But anyway, let's get back to the good stuff. Let's talk some good NFL football week 7. And in the first section, we're going to go over game recaps. In the first game, the Eagles won 22-21 over the Giants. Boston Scott's crazy catch wins the game for the Eagles. He's a little tiny guy, but he made a big catch for Carson Wentz as he had a really good bounce-back week. And I think gives them the division lead in the NFC East.
So then we have the Saints winning 27-24 over the Panthers. No Michael Thomas again. Alvin Kamara had a big game. Drew Brees, a good game too. He's looked a little better since the beginning of the year. So the Saints get a big win here over the Panthers.
Now we move on to the Bills winning 18-10 over the Jets. The Jets are really tanking here. I think they're going to either tank for a number 1 pick and trade it, or pick the man, the myth, the legend, Trevor Lawrence, and going to Buffalo here. They had a gutty win. They didn't throw for any touchdown. They kicked all 6 field goals. And I just feel like if the Bills want to compete in the AFC, they really need to score more touchdowns and convert the red zone.
So then we got the Browns and the Bengals. A heartbreaking loss for my Bengals. I mean, I don't expect anything different though. Just a classic Bengals ending. Baker has a good second half. He had 22 straight completions. I mean, this one really just hurts me too because Jax is a Browns fan. I'm a Bengals fan, and I have to listen to his whatever he has to say about this game. And it's not the most enjoyable thing to listen to.
Oh, Evan, you know I'm a really happy Browns fan after that week. Anyway, let's move on to the next game. The Washington football team wins 25-3 over the Dallas Suck Boys. They are literally atrocious now. Dalton's injury is really bad for the Cowboys, and now they have to start a 7th-round pick from James Madison, who I forget his name, but he did not look the best. And I just feel like this is a really bad year for the Cowboys. And although the NFC East is really bad, they're going to have to really turn it around now or never next week to really have a chance at the division.
So we got the Packers beating the Texans 35-20. Aaron Rodgers has a good bounce-back game after having a rough start against the Buccaneers last week. Devontae Adams is a huge game, and the Packers get a much-needed win.
Then we move to the Lions winning 23-22 over the Falcons. The Falcons choke again by Todd Gurley scoring, and he shouldn't have scored to run out the clock. And it gives time for Matt Stafford to throw a dime to T.J. Hawkinson to win the game for the Lions. I just feel bad for Atlanta fans. I mean, they could really honestly have a winning record this year if they weren't really bad at choking games. And I just feel like they're wasting Matt Ryan and Julio Jones and all the good players in the Falcons' talent.
So we got the Buccaneers beating the Raiders 45-20. Tom Brady is looking as good as new. After the last 2 weeks, he's really looked good, getting big wins. This Bucs defense also looks good. The Raiders take a tough loss, but this Buccaneers team really impressive.
Now we go on to the battle of the unbeatens, both 5-0. The Steelers beat the Titans 27-24. Gostkowski's late miss haunts the Titans as they could have sent the game to overtime and probably had a chance to win the way they were playing in the second half after being down 27-7. Big Ben has a really good bounce-back year so far. He's looked amazing throwing to Deontay Johnson, Ebron, and Juju, and Claypool. And I just feel like this Steelers team is really legit and moved up me and Evan's power rankings a lot.
So then I got the Chiefs over the Broncos 43-16. I mean, this game was played in the snow, obviously. The Chiefs' defense looked pretty dominant to me, and obviously their offense is one of the best in the NFL, scoring 43 points. I mean, this game was pretty obvious to me that the Chiefs were going to win this one. But the Chiefs looks good. Chiefs look good in this one.
Then we move on to the Chargers and Jags. Chargers win 39-29. Justin Herbert with another phenomenal week. I think he's looked really good and surprised a lot of people. Coming out of Oregon, I don't think I had high expectations for him, but I think the way he's looked so far is, with all the injuries the Chargers have, I think they could have a really good 2021 or 2020 this year if they can get healthy. But I really think that the Chargers have a good future with Justin Herbert at quarterback.
And then the Cardinals defeated the Seahawks 37-34 in overtime. Kyler looked good, really good. DK Metcalf had a huge play, but resulting in a no score and get inside the 10-yard line. That was a huge play, but it wasn't enough for them. Kyler looks good. Russell Wilson looked good, but he had a few struggles late that cost him the game.
Before going on to the next game, how about DK Metcalf's run, man? He can fly after catching Buda Baker on the interception. I just think that play really shows what kind of character DK has. But anyway, moving on to the next game. The 49ers visiting the Patriots. They win 33-6. Jimmy G gets his revenge on the Patriots as he has a really good game, but the injuries keep piling up for the 49ers. Blow after blow. They just can't catch a break with the injuries. But Cam Newton has been really bad after coming back from Corona, and I think that if the Patriots want to turn it around, they really need Cam Newton to step it up, or Jarrett Stidham to come in and dominate, but they really need help on the offensive side of the ball.
So then our final game, the Monday night game, Rams defeat the Bears 24-10. The Bears did not look like a 5-1 team at all this week. Jared Goff looked pretty good. He's finding new weapons on offense, and Rams get it done to improve to 5-2. So now on to our second section, our fantasy section, picking our breakout players, our underperformers, and our sleepers. So starting off with the breakout players, obviously the number one guy this week, Tyler Lockett, 53 points. I mean, this guy looked insane. Russell Wilson and him, I mean, this guy I think is going to have a great ending to his fantasy year, and Tyler Lockett and Russell Wilson hookup looks really good.
Now we're moving on to a guy that we both had really high expectations on, but wasn't really living up to it. But now is starting to pick it up again. Kyler Murray, the Arizona Cardinals quarterback, 37.1 points. I just think his ability to run and throw the ball is really impressive. Having weapons like DeAndre Hopkins is really big. And I just think that the Cardinals team can really go far. And after this big performance by Kyler, I hope he can keep it up.
So now on to the Chargers quarterback, Justin Herbert. This guy, I think, has a really bright future in this organization with the Chargers. He's looked really good as a rookie. Yeah, he just looks confident out there, and I think this guy's a really good fantasy quarterback for everybody.
Yeah, and Herbert had 38 points. Evan forgot to mention that. But moving on to the next breakout player, Tyler Boyd had 28 points for the Bengals. I think he's really stepped up this year, being Joe Burrow's number one weapon besides T. Higgins and A.J. Green. I think even though the Bengals have lost a lot of games, I think Tyler Boyd is one of the bright spots on this team that they can build on. And I think he's a really good guy to pick up in your leagues if he's not owned.
So now on to our underperformers. This guy has been struggling as of late. That's Josh Jacobs. I mean, I don't know. This Raiders team hasn't looked bad to me, but Josh Jacobs, he hasn't been getting the yards and touchdowns as everyone expected coming into the year.
Yeah, Josh Jacobs only had 6 points this week, but hopefully he can improve running the football. Now moving on to Travis Kelce, he only had 6 points as well. I'm really surprised by this because the Chiefs, as you know, Evan said, they scored 43 points. And Travis Kelce, I think they just need to get the ball to him, or he needs to get open more, because when he gets the ball, he is a force to be reckoned with. And I think that if he can keep stepping up, the Chiefs have a chance to go back-to-back.
So now Ezekiel Elliott, I mean, this guy has been a letdown as of late for sure, scoring 6.1 points. Now I don't think I think his struggles will continue without a good quarterback. I don't think this offense has really any hope after last week scoring 3 points against the Washington football team. I don't know if Zeke should be. I think you should be concerned about having this guy on your team.
Now moving on to the biggest underperformer maybe in the history of our show so far, Chase Claypool, who was on a tear this season, only scoring 0.8 points. I think that's really not good because Chase Claypool, when he gets the ball, he looks like a mini Megatron, being 6'5", big hands, and can run. I think that this kid has a bright future, but if the Steelers want to keep winning consistently and have a chance to represent the AFC this year, they really need Chase Claypool to be that guy along with Juju and Ebron.
So now on to our sleepers, some guys that might not be owned in a ton of leagues. Starting with Cole Beasley, he's had 22.2 points. His hookup with Josh Allen looked really, really good. Over 100 yards for Beasley, and I think if you don't have this guy, you need to pick him up.
Yeah, moving on now to Chase Edmonds scoring 21.5. I think that's really surprising, but I think Chase Edmonds is a really good player, really good running back, and I think that if he can keep getting carries in the offense he's in, I think he could do really well and keep this pace up.
Yeah, especially with Kenyon Drake with his injury, I think Chase Edmonds will be a top 5, top 10 running back in fantasy. And then our next guy, Christian Kirk, another guy from the Arizona Cardinals, scoring 20.7 points. I mean, his connection with Kyler Murray's looked good. Him and D-Hop, their top 2 targets. Christian Kirk is a really good fantasy player, and I think you need to have him on your team.
And now moving on to my Browns backup tight end, Harrison Bryant, scoring 21.6 points. I think he's been really good getting open in the red zone. I think he does that better than Hooper and Njoku at times. And I think that he's lived up to the hype of winning the best tight end in college football last year. I think that coming from FAU, no one really had idea of what he was going to be. But I think that he's really looked good being the backup tight end to Austin Hooper, and I think that the 2 tight end, 3 tight end set they run with the Browns is really talented. And I think that if the Browns can keep doing this with Harrison Bryant, they could do well.
So now on to our third section. I'll be starting with my weekly top 10 team power rankings. So I'll start on the top. Number 1, the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, this team has looked outstanding. Their competition maybe hasn't been top tier, but after this wins week against the Titans, their defense looked really good. Roethlisberger, even though he threw 3 interceptions, they still get the win. That just shows that this team has a lot of potential. So now on to my number 2, the Kansas City Chiefs. This team obviously probably, it was really a toss-up between the Steelers and Chiefs for me. Patrick Mahomes is definitely, in my opinion, the best quarterback in the NFL. I mean, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, this team has a lot of potential, and after their defense performance against the Broncos this week, they look really good. So, and then number 3 for me, this was a really tough one. I didn't know if they belonged in the top 3, but I'm going to go with the Seattle Seahawks after coming off a loss to the Cardinals last week. I didn't know if they were deserving of this spot, but Russell Wilson, in my opinion, is top MVP candidate. DK Metcalf, this Jamal Adams on defense, leading their defense. This team is definitely still a top 5 at least team in the NFL. Coming at number 4, I got the Baltimore Ravens. I'm really excited to watch next week's matchup with them against the Steelers, see how that turns out. I think that'll dictate my power rankings for the week after a lot. The Ravens are a really good team, and I'm excited to see how Lamar Jackson can handle his second half of this season. Number 5, I got the Green Bay Packers after a tough loss against the Tampa Bay. They bounce back, get a big win over the Texans. Aaron Rodgers looks really good. Devontae Adams, Aaron Jones, even though he sat out, Jamal Williams had a really good game. This Packers team, I think they could definitely come out of the NFC along with the Seahawks. I think they're the top 2 teams in that side of the NFL. Coming at number 6 for me, I got to go with the Tennessee Titans. And even though they lost to the Steelers this week, they still looks really good in my opinion. Derrick Henry, one of the best backs in the league, leads this team, and he really dictates how Ryan Tannehill plays. I think if they've got the running game going, I think Tannehill's a really good quarterback in the league. Coming in at number 7 for me, I got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tom Brady has looked really good as of late, and Ronald Jones running attack with Leonard Fournette. I really like that duo. The Buccaneers defense looks good. Levante David, he's a really good player. I really like this Bucs team. I think teams need to be afraid of this team. Tom Brady, one of the best quarterbacks of all time. Coming at number 8, I got the Arizona Cardinals after a huge win over the Seattle Seahawks on Sunday Night Football. They looked really good. Kyler Murray, I think he is a top quarterback in this league. This defense, Buda Baker, they got a good defense. Even though the Seahawks dropped 35 points on them, I really like this Cardinals team. Coming at number 9, I got the Buffalo Bills. I would put them higher, but after this week's performance against the Jets, they didn't look terrific to me. Josh Allen didn't look great. Their defense looked good against the not-so-good Jets offense, though, but I think the Bills are a good team still. And then coming at number 10, I got the LA Rams. Jared Goff is a good quarterback. Aaron Donald, obviously, probably the best defensive player in the league. The Rams are, I think they're led by Sean McVay. I think they're a really good team.
All right, moving on to my top 10 rankings, the better rankings to Evan. I'm just kidding. But anyway, let's move on to my top 10 rankings. Number 1, I got the Chiefs. I know me and Evan, top 2 teams, are very agreeable, but I think the Chiefs are still a little bit better than the Steelers. I really like Andy Reid's coaching this year. I think getting Le'Veon Bell from the Jets is a really nice pickup for Le'Veon Bell to score in the goal line, while Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a really good receiving back. I think Le'Veon Bell gives him the power to run the red zone, and I think him not being productive the last few years, I think that's going to motivate him to try to chase a ring with Kansas City. And I think if their defense can just get a little better with Tyrann Mathieu and co., I think this Chiefs team has a very good chance to come out of the AFC in general for the Super Bowl and represent them. Moving on to my number 2, I got the Steelers. I just think this team, top to bottom, is a tough team. I think they got the best front 7 in football. Bud Dupree, T.J. Watt, Cam Hayward. I just think that there's so many good defensive players in this team. I mean, you got corners like Joe Hayden, just locked down. And off the offensive side of the ball, I think Ebron was a good free agent signing. He's looked really good this year. I like the running style with James Conner. I feel like he's having a good bounce-back year. And I just feel like this team is really tough to beat, being one of the few undefeated teams. Moving on to my number 3, I got the Ravens. I think the matchup, like Evan said, is going to be really fun to watch. It'll dictate my top 10 rankings next week. Getting Yannick Ngakoue from the Vikings is a really big get for them to run alongside Patrick Queen and Calais Campbell and all the big boys in the middle, Matthew Judon. And then they got the lockdown corners and Marcus Peters and I can't remember his name for a second. Marlon Humphrey, yes. Thank you, Evan. He's a really big stud for them. And I just think Lamar, with all the weapons he has, I think they can really step up and have a really good week this week. Moving on to my number 4, I got the Buccaneers. I got them way higher than Evan because I think their defense is also – I think they're top 2 front 7 in football. Guys like Villa, Jason Pierre-Paul. No, sorry, he's not there anymore. Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, he is? Oh, my bad. He is? All right. JPP, I just think that along with Levante David, I just think that this defense is really underrated. They really locked Rodgers down, and I think that if Tom Brady, now having Antonio Brown, if he can keep him from not being a toxic environment in the locker room, I think they have one of the best wide receiver corps in football now, along with Gronk at tight end, and I just think that this team could go far. And moving on to my number 5, I got the Packers. I mean, the Buccaneers beat them head-to-head, so I got to put the Buccaneers ahead. I got to put some respect on them. And I think Aaron Rodgers, they're really good against bad teams, but I really need him to see him step up and win the big games, be physical. I know they have a really good O-line led by Bakhtiari, but I think that if they can win a few big games, they'll go up higher in my rankings. But I still really love this team. I think they need to get Lazard back. They need to get Aaron Jones healthy. But still, without those guys, I think they're really talented. On the defense side of the ball, they're underrated. And that's why I got the Packers at 5. Moving on to my number 6, I had them higher last week, but I still got the Seahawks at 6. I think Russell Wilson itself, like me and Evan agree, he's number 1 in my MVP voting for sure. He's just had a phenomenal year, and if they didn't have a bad penalty call and a kickoff go against them, I think they easily win the game in regulation. But it is what it is. I think the Cardinals won the game. The Seahawks didn't lose it. But I just think that if they need to get Jamal Adams healthy, and I think they need to get a guy like J.J. Watt, a really good defensive lineman, a guy like they got like Clowney last year. Like, I think they need to get another free agent acquisition. I was going to say trade for Everson Griffin, but he just got traded. But I just think they need that D-line presence to really, really help this team grow. Moving on to my number 7, I got the Titans. Even though with the loss, I dropped them a few spots down, I'm pretty sure, but I really like this team. Ryan Tannehill has been debatably one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league. Ever since he started like 17, 18 games ago, he's been basically on the level of Patrick Mahomes. I think that when he got out of Adam Gase in Miami, I think Adam Gase is a horrible coach and brings quarterback downs like him and Darnold. And I think that now having Mike Vrabel as their head coach, a dog, a leader, a guy who brings energy, I think that the Titans are still a really good team in the AFC, but they really need to establish the run game with Derrick Henry getting blocked by Taylor Lewan. And I just think that A.J. Brown and co. need to be good wide receivers-wise for them to win, set up the play action, and have a good offense. Moving on to my number 8, I got the Cardinals. I really like the way they played last week. I think Budda Baker is the best safety in the league. You heard it from me first. I think he's the best. I think the way he reads things now is insane. I think Chandler Jones not being there hurts them. That's why I have him at 8. I would have him at 5 or 6 if Chandler Jones is there because of how much of a presence he brings. He's a top 10 player in football. But I think the offense led by Christian Kirk, DeAndre Hopkins, and Kyler is really good. I like Kingsbury as a coach. He's a way better NFL coach than college. And I like the direction that they're going. Moving on to my number 9, I got the Rams. I think they looked really good last night. The new weapons, as Evan said, looked really good. I think Darrell Henderson, Cam Akers in the backfield gives them some good running backs to run with. Change of pace guys. I think if they can keep getting Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp going, get Higbee healthy, I think this Rams team could be really good. I think their O-line's way better than it was last year, which is a plus. And I think their D-line's really good with Aaron Donald and having Jalen Ramsey as another playmaker in the secondary. I think this Rams team is sneaky good. And my number 10, I got the Bills. I think they could be higher on the list for me, but I think Josh Allen needs to keep stepping it up and play like he did earlier in the season. And I think that if he keeps stepping it up, that hopefully the Bills can get back into contention. And I think Sean McDonough is a good coach, but who knows how far this team can go. All right, moving on to our last and I think our personal favorite section, our top 3 MVP candidates. Number 1, I have Russell Wilson. I think he's been amazing all year. I think he's been a stud, really good throwing the football, leading Pete Carroll's team to be good. And I think that if he can keep this up, I think he can get an MVP vote and really propel the Seahawks to go far in the NFC. My number 2, we got Aaron Rodgers. He's a bad man, as Stephen A. says. He's really good throwing the football, as we know. And I think that the Packers drafting Jordan Love this year really motivated him to be better this year. And I think that him finally being healthy, being second year Matt LaFleur's system, I think that Aaron Rodgers is a really elevated game. And number 3, I know Evan will hate me for this, but I got Tom Brady, number 3, my MVP candidate. I did have Ryan Tannehill, but after seeing the game, I think Tom Brady is now number 3 in the MVP race, in my opinion. I think all the weapons he has, I think with Antonio Brown, Godwin, Evans, Gronkowski, Cameron Brate, and in Bruce Arians' system where they're going to throw a ball a lot and having a good running game with Fournette and Ronald Jones, I think that this team is really suitable to go far, and if Brady can keep racking up good passing yards, I think that this can go far. Evan, what is your top 3 rankings?
Coming in at number 1 for me, I agree with you, Jax, Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson has been impressive all year long, and I think it's just his time to win an MVP. His weapons with Lockett and Metcalf. This team is really good, and Russell Wilson can lead them to a Super Bowl, in my opinion. And I agree with you on number 2 as well. Aaron Rodgers, his hookup with Devontae Adams looked sensational last week. Adams having a huge game. Aaron Rodgers has just been an all-time great quarterback, and I think he has looked really good this year. And I think the Packers have looked really good under Matt LaFleur. And I think Aaron Rodgers could end up passing Russell Wilson if Russell Wilson continues struggling like he kind of did last week. And coming in number 3 for me, after last week's game, it was hard for me not to put Kyler Murray in my 3rd spot. He can run the ball, he can throw it, he's got good weapons, and DeAndre Hopkins and Christian Kirk, Larry Fitzgerald. I mean, Kyler Murray can do it all. With his size, he's a really good athlete, just really good player, and he knows what he's doing out there.
All right, that's going to be it for NFL Weekly, Week 7 with me and Evan. I'm Jax and Evan,
I'm Evan Whitney.
and we'll see you next week.